Hello and welcome to this Python tutorial. So in the previous tutorials we imported the dataset and prepared it correctly for our Apriori function. And speaking of the Apriori function, we trained the Apriori model thanks to this function on the dataset in this code section here. So we set a minimum support of 0.03, a minimum confidence of 20%, which means that all the rules we will obtain will be true at least 20% of the time. And then we also chose a minimum lift of 3, which will give us some relevant rules, and a minimum length of 2, which means we'll get rules composed of at least 2 products. So we might get some good rules, and we must keep in mind that the a priori model is very experimental. So what happens usually is that we try several values of the parameters here, which will give us some rules, and then experiment these rules in real life. And then according to the results, we can update the parameters here to choose maybe some more appropriate parameters. But we will start with this and we might actually get some relevant rules. So that's what we're going to do in this tutorial. Look at the rules, look at the explicit rules. So welcome to the exciting step and let's visualize the results. Okay, so it's going to be very simple. Getting the rules is actually very short. We just need to type here list and then parenthesis rules. And if we execute this, we will get the list of the different rules found by the a priori algorithm. So we can do that directly, or we can also put the rules into a variable. So that's what we'll do. We will actually put the rules in a variable called results. There we go. So that you know the rules appear in variable explorer here, and so that we can have a better look. Okay, so that's actually ready. The important thing to say here is that in R, we actually sorted the rules by their lift, which is a very good criterion to sort the rules, but that's not what we'll do in Python here, and that's due to a specific reason. The rules found by the a priori model here are already sorted by their relevance. So the relevance is not the lift, it's actually a combination of the support, the confidence, and the lift. So it's a relevance criterion made by this a priori function, and that combines the different criteria, support, confidence, and lift. So that's why we're not sorting the rules by their lift like we did in R. This a priori function has its own relevance criterion, but you will see that the rules we're going to get are actually the same rules as we got in R, even if they were not sorted by the same criterion. So the relevance criterion of the a priori function here is very close to the lift relevance criterion, and therefore we'll get almost the same top relevant rules as we got in R. So let's find out about this now. I'm going to select this line here and execute. And the rules are computing. Almost there. Here we go. As you can see, it took 4 to 5 seconds to execute because it had to build some association rules over 7,500 transactions. So that took a few seconds, but here it is. The results, that is the rules, are actually made. Okay, so now let's have a look at them. So to look at the rules, we can double click on this result variable here, and then here are the rules sorted by their relevance. Okay, so in this table here, each line corresponds to a rule. This is the top rule, the top relevant rule. This is the second top relevant rule, and they are sorted by their relevance. So right now we can't really see what the rules are, but to have a clear look at the rule, to see what the rule is explicitly, we can click on this value column here for each rule. So let's start with the top one, the most relevant rule. That's this one. Let's double click on it. All right, and then we get another table with a tuple, and we can already see the top relevant rule. It's the association rule between light cream and chicken. That is, people who bought light cream also bought chicken. And actually that kind of makes sense. People who buy some light cream pay attention to what they eat, and if people pay attention to what they eat, then they would rather put their light cream on chicken, which is poultry, rather than beef, which is red meat. And then we have the support of this association rule, that is the support of this association rule, that is the proportion of this set of products here composed of light cream and chicken among all the transactions. So basically this 0.0045 support value here was obtained by dividing the number of transactions containing some light cream and some chicken by the total number of transactions. So that's the support. And then if we want to get the confidence and the lift of this particular association rule, Well, we just need to click on this value here to get this table, and then click again on this value here to get all the parameter value for this specific association rule. All right, so that table gives us a clear look at the rule, because we can see that, the left-hand side of the rule is light cream, then the right-hand side of the rule is chicken, so that means that if people buy light cream, they're likely to buy chicken. And then we have the confidence of this rule, which is 29%. So that means that if people buy light cream, they have 29% chance of buying chicken. And then we have the lift of this rule, which is equal to 4.8. And that's a very good lift. Remember, we're looking for lifts that are at least higher than 3. Well, here we get a lift of almost 5. So that shows actually the relevance of the rule. All right, so that's the most relevant rule. And now let's have a look at the other rules. We're going to look at the top 5. So let's press OK here, OK, and OK. All right, and now let's have a look at the second most relevant rule. All right, so it's this one. I just double click on value here. Let's see what it is. It's if French people buy mushroom cream sauce, then they're likely to buy escalope. All right, so the support of this set of item is 0.0057. That is that 0.5% of the transactions contain mushroom cream sauce and escalope. Okay, so that's good. And now let's have a look at the confidence and the lift for this particular association rule. So we must double click on it. We get this table and then double click on it again. All right, so that's the info we're interested in for this rule. So we can see the confidence of this rule is 0.3, 30%, which means that if French people in the south of France purchase mushroom cream sauce in the store, well, they have 30% chance of buying escalope as well. So pretty interesting, and actually I think this is a very good mix. Being French myself, I love putting some mushroom cream sauce on my escalope. And then we have a lift of 3.8, which of course respects the minimum lift set as 3. Okay, so let's click OK, OK, and OK. And now let's have a look at the third most relevant rule. So that's this one. And it's if people buy some pasta, they're likely to buy escalope. Okay, and this association rule has a support of 0.0058. So that means that 0.6% of the transactions contain some pasta and escalope. And now let's have a look at the confidence and the lift. So remember, we need to double click on this first and then this again. And that gives us confidence and lift info. All right, here we go. So left-hand side of the rule, pasta, right-hand side of the rule, escalope, and we have a confidence of 37%, which means that if French people buy pasta, then they have 30% chance of buying escalope as well. That is, if people buy pasta, then they will buy escalope in 37% of the cases, 37% of the time. Okay? And we have a lift of 4.7, again a very good lift, almost equal to 5, which makes a very relevant rule. Okay? And now let's have a look at 2 other rules just to get the top 5. So let's double click on this one. So of course, fromage blanc with honey is an exquisite French dessert. If you go to France and French restaurants, you will find most of the time fromage blanc and honey in the dessert menu. And I'll give you a little trick. Even if it's not in the dessert menu, you can still ask for it. They always keep some just in case. All right, so we have a support of 0.003, which means that this set of products is present in 0.3% of the transactions. And now let's get some info about the confidence and the lift. So let's double click on it again. And here it is. All right, so let's say it all in once. If French people in the south of France buy fromage blanc, then they have 25% chance of buying honey. And I'm not surprised to see that there is a high lift here for this specific association rule, because indeed it's so relevant to add some honey onto our fromage blanc. You should really give it a try if you haven't tried it yet. Okay, so great, I love this rule. And let's have a look at the last rule, the 5th most relevant rule, which is this one. Let's see. If people buy herb and pepper, then they are likely to buy ground beef. Indeed, herb and pepper is really good on ground beef, and that's a common part of recipe of French cooking. So I'm not surprised to find this rule, and actually it has a support of 0.01599, that is 1.6%. So this set of products appear more in the transactions. It appears in 1.6% of the transactions. And now let's have a look at the confidence and the lift by double clicking on here first and then here again. All right, and let's say it all in once. So if French people buy herb and pepper, then they have 32% chance of buying ground beef, but the lift is not that high. It's probably due to the fact that ground beef is one of the most purchased product, and maybe herb and pepper is a very often purchased product as well, and that's why it lost some relevance. But the association rule overall makes a lot of sense, because indeed herb and pepper associates very well with ground beef. Okay, so we had a look at the top 5 most relevant rules. So the manager of the store now should, experience these new rules that we observe here by placing the new products of these rules next to each other, then experience for a few weeks, and then observe the impact on the sales, how much the sales increase, how much the revenue increases, and then see if the business goals are achieved. And if that's the case, try to strengthen the rules or try some more powerful rules by changing the support and confidence. Or on the other hand, if the business goals are not achieved, well, same, we can try to get some new rules by increasing the confidence and maybe the support. Well, that's all related to experience. That's what data analysts and managers do in retail stores, whether they are online stores or grocery stores or any kind of stores. Well, they use these association rules and update them, and of course, combine these rules with other recommendation system techniques like collaborative filtering with, the user profiles that can add some additional relevant info, and also other more advanced techniques like the neighborhood model, the latent factor models. Well, they combine a lot of models to increase the sales and the revenue. But here you have a very good technique, very powerful technique, association rules. So congratulations for having implemented this first recommendation system in some way. And I really hope this will be useful for your business and your work. And don't hesitate if you have any questions about this. We will answer your questions very quickly. So that was the Apriori algorithm. I was very happy to build this model with you. Congratulations again. Until then, enjoy machine learning.